So a couple weeks ago, it was revealed that BlumHouse's next Universal monster reimagine will be the Mummy. And we are weeks away from the Wolfman, and yes, I have talked about several times over about the Mummy being a, the Wolfman remake and the design. I'm like on the fence about, but I have faith in Lee Whannell, and story can do a lot for a bad makeup. We've seen that multiple times in movies. So I do have some kind of faith that can actually be fixed. You know what I mean? Like, I can actually see that being fixed in some way, shape, or form. Like, I could see it working. Like, I have faith for it. But it was announced that coming immediately next year, Lee Corrin, who is the director of Evil Dead Rise, will be taking over The Mummy. Now, The Mummy was one I was not expecting them to do. I was not expecting that one to be, Universal's next pick for a monster movie. I was actually thinking they were going to stay away from The Mummy just a bit longer, because it's only been, like, as of that one being released, barring a, delay or some kind, it's almost been 10 years since, the death of the Dark Universe. And no, I don't think, like, some people are saying, like, oh, it's the new Blumhouse is making a Dark Universe. Yeah, I don't think that's happening, boss. I think it's just meant to be, like, scary, making the monsters, like, these one-and-done scary films. That's really all they really need to be at the end of the day. And if they want to make a shared universe out of it, I don't know how you could. I don't think they should. I mean, would it be cool? Like, maybe you could do something cheeky. If you really... Let's talk about this now. If you really wanted to talk about... Sorry, I lost my train of thought. God, I need sleep. If you really wanted to make it a shared universe, here's how I would do it. If you wanted to make Blumhouse's horror movies between Wolfman, Invisible Man, and The Mummy, and whatever the hell's coming next, I would say, like, just little bits and pieces. Like, just make it like they're all in the same universe, but never have the monsters or characters directly meet. Like, have it be like have it be little Easter eggs. That's what I wouldn't mind. Like, you can easily, I'm not saying, like, illogically you can't have these monsters in the same universe. I'm just saying I don't think these types of monsters should be crossing over with each other. You can make it a cinematic universe if you want. You can all say it's one, like do the Quentin Tarantino thing where it'd say, like, it's all one universe, it's all on one Earth or one timeline, depending on and I'll talk about what the Mummy could be about. But, like, as it stands, I don't think I need that. And this is coming from the crossover guy. And that's what I think made that's what made the original Universal monsters work, was that, like, they got put together by marketing, you know what I mean? So it was like to keep a dying franchise alive, and I don't think I need it. I don't think, like, you can just have it be Easter eggs at most. That's my whole thing. Now, having said all that, let's talk about what I'd like to see from this new Mummy movie. Now, the big question is, like, are we going to be using which Mummy? I don't think we're going to have Amunet. She's out. And that just leaves, if we're going, and again, I'll bring up more, is that which Mummy of the original Universal Monsters mummies are you going to use? Because here's the thing. Everyone just says, oh, it's Emotep. Obviously, Emotep's the only one. There was another Mummy franchise after the end of Boris Karloff's movie. Yeah, for those who don't know, they rebooted it, and if you thought reboots only happen in these days, no, that happened all the way back in the 40s, man. Basically, after Emotep's story was done in that one movie, they brought in a new Mummy and basically used a new timeline and a new universe, like a new continuity, to use that Mummy for all of their work. Like, and that Mummy's name was Karas. Karas was basically, he had the same story as Emotep. He was just under a cult that controlled him. He had people controlling him. he had, like, he was more of a traditional mummy. It wasn't like Karloff's mummy, where he was, like, regenerated flesh and what have you. He was, like, a legit, like, bandaged mummy. So, I think my pick would be Karras. I think you can't top Karloff or Arnold Vosloo's Emotep. I think, like, you don't need Emotep for this. I think, like, if we're gonna go with a classic mummy, I would say Karras. He has more. Granted, his movies aren't great, and I know what you're thinking, but Karras was also the name of the mummy in the Hammer films. Yeah. So Karras would be my pick. But I would not be shocked if they used an original mummy for this story. Like, that could easily happen, too, is that they could use a completely new mummy to this universe. But I would say it'd be kind of cool to use Karras. I know he's not as popular as Emotep, but I think he could I think you can do enough with him. Plus, this is going to go into our next thing, is that when in time are we going to be doing this this mummy movie? It could easily be a period piece. I don't think we've seen a lot of, like, BlumHouse movies that are period pieces. In fact, I could be wrong, but yeah, I have yet to see one of the Universal, the BlumHouse movies in general be period piece movies. So maybe this could be the start of it, and it can actually talk about a lot of, like, the desecration that the British did to Egyptian mummies. For those who don't know, there were parties, I put in air quotes because they were just giant orgies, of the British elite who took these mummies and artifacts from Egypt and brought it, rather than take it to a museum, they basically had parties where they would play with the relics and also, like, take apart the dead body and wrap themselves in the cloth of the wrapped up king or queen, a pharaoh, and have orgies. Yeah. So that could actually be a cool story of, like, this desecration of, like, you could have the story be set in the 1800s, like, wealthy Britain, and they're all like, oh, we're going to have a row of a party, and let's wrap up, oh no, the mummy's awake, and ripping people's throats out. I also imagine this movie's going to be probably gory. If anything of Evil Dead Rise, I also imagine that between this and Hole in the Ground, that Lee Corrin has a clear taste for enclosed spaces, so I don't think this will be like an open world kind of story. It'll probably be set in, like, either a tomb or a museum or some rich guy's house. It's probably going to be that. Like, whether it be present tense or past tense, either one of those are probably going to be the expectation, honestly. I would dare say that I think that's for the best of making it like a small cast of characters in an enclosed space. Now, what's the mummy gonna be like? Again, we talked about the possibility of Karras or a new mummy, or hell, it could be Emotep. We don't know. We have no information. I don't think we will until, like, later in 2025. Might as well just say next year, this year, because we've got 48 hours till 2025. Anyway. So, it could easily be something of that regard, where you have the like, what's the mummy design going to be like? Is it going to be another reincarnation story and be more about, like, the mummy's memories and soul, like, transferring into someone else? I've seen a lot of that with mummies. That's, like, the majority of mummies like mummies in horror books, is just reincarnation of the soul, and it's like a body horror kind of thing. I always talk about this, but Clive Barker was originally supposed to do the 90s mummy movie before Scott Summer. Wouldn't that have been a crazy, like, could you imagine Clive Barker's The Mummy, right? Anyway, so I kind of hope we get a actual, like, bandaged mummy. I hope we get, like, an actual, like, bandaged kind of, like, decaying mummy. We can do the resurrection thing and have it that Karras is after his lost love. I'm just saying Karras. I'm not saying it is Karras, but I'm just using Karras or whatever mummy this is, whether they be male or female. I think that would be kind of that's probably could be the angle we're going with, because, again, Hole in the Ground, Lee Corrin's movie that got him the job for Evil Dead Rise was all about resurrection and that effect of, you know, someone returning from the dead. And hell, even Evil Dead is like that. So he's the more you think about it, the more he's kind of perfect for it. Anyway, so I'm just really excited. Again, I'm really shocked that The Mummy was the one they picked for the next movie, because again, I thought they were just going to leave it buried after how bad the Tom Cruise movie was. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just kind of hoping for a dark, not like a dark romance kind of story, but more of like a dark horror story. And mummies are usually, like, outside of, like, has anyone given a shit about a mummy movie that wasn't under Universal? Like, there are so little mummy movies, and a lot of them aren't good unless you're the 1999 Mummy Returns, and the 1932 movie. That's about it for mummy movies. It's really all I can say. There is another one called Revenge of the Mummy, I think, but even then, that movie's not great. And the mummy itself is just a bunch of CGI rags that go flying around. It's stupid as fuck. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, but you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you want to see out of this new upcoming mummy movie? Do you want it to be like a classic mummy like Karis or Imhotep? Do you want to be a new one? And do you want it to be like a period piece, or would you want it set in present day? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.